All right, here we go. Showtime. Hello, everyone. My name is JR, and thank you for tuning in tonight to Kush Constrictors. What I've got going on, you guys, is my own personal video. Again, my name is JR. I'm a professional licensed tattoo artist, also tattoo shop owner, by trade, by profession, by hobby. I am an exotic ball python breeder, or exotic animal breeder, specifically focusing right now on ball pythons. I also breed pit bulls / Staffordshire Terriers as well. But of course, I'm sure I will get into that at another time. But tonight, basically, what I'd like to do again is thank everybody for tuning in who's checking me out. This will be my first, hopefully, of many videos. And what my objectives are is to kind of document my progress, man, and just kind of share my life and experiences as a exotic animal breeder with the world, with everybody. I want to be able to kind of document this for myself, excuse me, for my kids, just for anybody. You know, I think it's kind of a cool thing that we're able to do in this day and age. And I've had so many different mediums with backgrounds as far as, you know, sales and marketing and all other things, that I just really think that, you know, YouTube in and of itself is a really cool medium, and I'd like to get involved. So anyway, with that said, what I do, again, is I breed ball pythons. I'm very new to the hobby. I do not consider myself a professional ball python breeder by any means, although I have been pretty successful so far. I guess statistically speaking, I've been really successful, and it's just the beginning. I know that there's a lot of things that are going to come up that are unseen, and I'm trying to learn from other people's mistakes. I'm trying to educate myself based on other people's experiences, and that's why I think that this is such a cool medium, is because I'm pretty much a self-made guy when it comes to this, self-taught guy. I have to say the stuff that I've learned is through the medium of YouTube, man. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of local guys, or a lot of guys that I've made purchases from, I bought animals from. There's even been some guys that just helped me out I've never ever made a purchase from, and these are some of the coolest guys that I appreciate the most, you know. And that's why I really truly love this hobby, is because in this hobby, you can have people of all different walks of life, man. I'm talking about ethnicity, race, if you believe in that, biological backgrounds, genetic backgrounds, you know, different beliefs, you know, all different, you know, sizes, colors, sexes, you know, all that. And the thing is when it comes down to these animals, man, we find this language that is just goes past anything that binds us as far as our beliefs like that, at least for the most of us. You know, I could sit down with a guy that I might not have any of the same political beliefs with, and trust me, there's a lot of them out there, but when it comes to these animals, we can argue on stupid stuff on Facebook or stuff like that, you know, but when it comes down to these animals, that's one thing that we're like, okay, well, you see things this way, I see things this way, but you know what we both agree on? We both love snakes. We both love animals. We both love exotic reptiles, so on and so forth. And I think that that's really cool, because it's really hard sometimes for somebody like myself to find people that are directly around me, whether it be at my shop, or whether it be a girl I'm dating or that I'm with, or even my kids or my friends. A lot of people ain't really into what I'm into. It just doesn't, you know, it just doesn't sync with them. So when I'm talking about the genetics and my plans and my goals and stuff like that, it becomes kind of lonely sometimes. So these people have become friends, and I really love the exotic animal community. I love what it is that we do. So now let me get into it, everybody. Let me show you a little bit more about what it is that excites me about this community and these animals. Again, I'm an artist, man. I'm a creator. I like to think of myself as kind of a creator. I like to make things. I like to create things. I'm a pretty creative person, and so I've always been a person who's into animals and life. I just find beauty in life, and I love it. So I've always been a critter getter. I've always been an animal person. Anybody who knows me knows that. So what I want to explain tonight, and these videos aren't necessarily for the more experienced snake people, and progressively I'll probably get to that point, but I'd like a lot of you guys to evolve with me. So I'm starting pretty entry level, you know, just to kind of show you guys what got me into it. And initially I always, as a kid, I was a creator kid. I would catch turtles, frogs, snakes, you know, garter snakes, the occasional bull snake. And then when I would go out of town, especially if I would go down to like Arizona, I would really go for, you know, a lot of the indigenous lizards. I even would go out and look for rattlers in the morning and stuff like that out in the hills. And so I was always just a big reptile person my whole life. So as I got older, my kids got animals, and I had them throughout my teenage years. I had some snakes, I had some ball pythons, I had some corn snakes, I had chameleons, turtles, all of that as a kid growing up. Gave up the hobby for other things, and then got my son a bearded dragon, and we went to the store one day to get him some food, and I saw a big baby, and I said, you know what? Let me hold that big baby. And that big baby, as a matter of fact, let's start here. That big baby, the genetics on that was your basic jungle type ball python, which is what I have right here. So this was it, and I said, you know, I have a little bit of a fear because I just don't really remember what it was and the different, you know, nature of a snake and how to read one. I just wasn't that familiar. I couldn't remember. And so I asked the guy, I said, can I hold one of these things? He went and he got it and he handed me the snake. And I immediately fell in love with the snake. As a matter of fact, the same day I held that ball python, I bought this girl. And at the time she was probably 150, 200 grams tops. And when I bought her, I got her with the tank. I was a tanker, and a lot of the stuff that came along with it. And right when I got her, I immediately fell in love with her. I felt like there was some weird extension or some weird connection I had, and I just immediately fell in love with her as an animal and as a being. And so I knew then I needed another one. And so I would, you know, I'd get onto, you know, the blogs, and I'd look at different stuff, and I'd get on, you know, YouTube and the pages. And I went to an exotic reptile show with my kids, and I picked up an albino from a guy. And he told me, of course, right from a normal, I went right to an albino. He told me it was a female. I purchased it for $250. It was like 1,200 grams. Later on, found out it was a male. It was a, you know, local flipper. We won't get into that, you know. But anyway, progressively my collection grew, and I started to learn a little bit about the genetics and polymorphism, if that's the correct terminology, which is basically meaning how you change the paint jobs, how every different snake or every gene is like an ink on your canvas or on your palette, and how you can use these snakes to design other snakes. And so this is where I'm going to get into where my passion and my love really came into place with this, and why I wanted to become a breeder. And it wasn't, you know, it was definitely not anything I ever looked into for monetary gain, because I'm already established as far as business goes. It was something I really wanted to get into because I wanted to create beauty, I wanted to create art, and I wanted another medium. As an artist, when you're a tattoo artist, you need other mediums, whether it be sculpting, painting, singing, acting, whatever it may be. It's always good to have other mediums. And I've actually found my favorite second medium is breeding ball pythons, polymorphism. As you see, my girl and I have a real connection. And for people who don't believe in the connection that you can have with these animals, you've never had one, you've never owned one. And there's different levels of ownership with these animals, I've noticed. I've noticed that there's some people who get into it for the wrong reasons, and you can tell in the care of their animals. And I'm not one to judge, but everybody's into it for a little bit of a different reason, and a lot of it for the same reasons. But I definitely have a genuine bond with all of my animals, and I have kind of a routine where I let them pick how we bond. Like when I go into my snake room, for example, whichever snake is at the front of the enclosure, kind of moving around looking like they want to hang out, that's the snake I'm going to grab and hang out with for the day. And we do our little waken snake routine, you know what I mean? And we do what we do. And that's kind of what I do with my snakes, is I kind of pick them and hang out with them like that. So anyway, this is my girl right here. This is Lucy. I think every snake person has a Lucy. I named her Lucy for Lucille ball python, so on and so forth. So boom, there she is. So here's my Lucy. She's a girl. She did give me one clutch, and it was like my sacrificial clutch, and it was all slugs. But I bred her a little early, just being a little anxious. So that was my first clutch ever. I slugged out, but I didn't give up. You know what I mean? Not at all. I don't do that. So I slugged out with her, but that's okay because I love her. She's my baby. She's my first, and we learned a little lesson with that. And even in doing that, I learned to make sure that I mark my eggs. I made a few mistakes, and then I learned how to candle in that. So I did things a little bit backwards on that, but yeah, I slugged out with her. And then after that, I had a little bit of success. So again, what she is now, as I was explaining, these snakes are basically like canvases. Every different gene or polymorphic genetic design has a name. This is just a jungle type normal ball python. But now what happens is in the wild, and sometimes in captivity too, these snakes will actually mutate where a different body type will come out, and sometimes it'll be the smallest little distinctions that are hard to tell, and it will be something just isolated that isn't genetic. But then sometimes it is something that's genetic, meaning it can be bred into the snakes and it can be recognized as another color to the canvas or to the to your paints that you can use as paint jobs. So now what she is again is she's a normal, as most people call her, or they call her a jungle type ball python, royal python, so on and so forth. I'm not quite sure what the Greek terminology is, but I'm sure there is one that makes people feel smart when they say it. So anyway, which they are smart, and I'm not knocking anybody who uses the correct term because there's good reasons behind that. I'm just talking stuff. I'm just not quite that smart yet, but I will be. Trust me. So anyway, here she is. She's normal, jungle type. This is my girl. As you can see, we have a good bond. You know what I mean? And she's not afraid of being touched on the head by me. You know, I can touch her head. I can pretty much pet her if I wanted to. And she's like a puppy dog because I love her and she knows it. She probably doesn't love me because her brain's not wired like that, but she tolerates me a lot. So here she is. She's a normal jungle type. Now, here's where we get into the mutation of things. This is where we get into the polymorphism. This is where the snakes change. So now, let's say, for example, these little dudes are out in the bush and they're catching snakes, because trust me, these dudes in Africa love these snakes as much as we do, if not more. Probably more. So anyway, they're out there catching these snakes and they notice there's something a little bit different about one. Right? And so we'll go with this girl right here. And this is the other snake that everybody has, right? Come here. This is my Medusa. Now, if you look at Medusa, she's got a little bit different patterning. And what her morph is called Mojave. And it's actually one of my favorite morphs. But she's a Mojave. So now what happened is somebody in Africa, most likely, and I'm not 100% sure where Mojave came from or who proved it out originally. I'm sure I could look into it and somebody can help me and tell me and somebody knows. But here is a Mojave right here. So let me kind of give you in comparison a Mojave, my beautiful girl Medusa, compared to my normal jungle type girl, Lucy. So as you see, there's some pretty specific distinctions. You see the key, the alien heads are kind of like little loopity keyholes, and she's a really pretty Mojave, by the way. Very clean, a lot of good contrast, exceptionally good, which is what you want in snakes. But this is my Mojave girl. So what happened was they found a snake that looked like this out in the wild, and they bred it to a snake that looked like this. And genetically speaking, out of 10 snakes, 5 look like this and 5 look like this, which meant that this was a polymorphic gene or a recognized gene that can be proven out. At that point, somebody said, hey, this is called the Mojave, and I'm the one who's claiming the rights or the name to this gene, and the one who discovered it and proved it out, and so I want to name it. So that's what it was called, the Mojave. So here's our Mojave. Again, this is our jungle type normal. So now we've got our Mojave. Now here's where it gets even more fun. Is what I do is I breed these babies to make little pieces of living art. So what we have is our normal. I'm going to put her away. I'm going to keep this beautiful girl out. Right? And I'm going to show you what I actually bred this girl to. Because I have bred this girl, and I bred her to this handsome young man. And with ball pythons, the men are exceptionally smaller than the females are. The males are a lot smaller than the females, typically. So, she's a great breeder size. I mean, she's like 2,600 grams, and this is after she just laid 11 eggs, her first clutch. She's a big girl, good eater, always been really healthy. So she gave me 11 eggs from him. Now what he is he's a banana piebald, for those of you who don't know. Now the piebald is this white stuff. This is a recessive trait. No, it's not albino, but it does look a lot like an albino, but it's not. As you notice, it does not have the red eyes like albinism would cause, which is a lack of colors altogether, and that has pretty much nothing to do with being piebald. But anyway, what you're seeing here in this yellow is a banana morph, otherwise recognized as coral glow. So this would be, anyway, we're going to call it a banana piebald. So this is a banana piebald, and I paired the banana piebald to the Mojave. Okay, so now this is what I created. He's probably going to try to tag me. Here's my boy right here. This is actually the very first hatchling I ever produced. And this is Adam. What he is he is a banana Mojave, and he is het, which is like heterocyclus. I'm not exactly correct or sure on the pronunciation, but we'll just say het for short. He is het for piebald, meaning he carries the piebald gene, but you really don't see piebald externally on the outside of them. However, you do see the codominant traits, which is actually the banana and the Mojave, and if you notice, the banana is the coloring, and then the Mojave is the patterning with the nice keyholes. So again, this is my first ball python right here that has ever pipped out of an egg. He means a lot to me, and I'll be keeping him for future breeding projects. So anyway, that's it, everybody. That's kind of who I am. Again, my name is JR, and the channel is Kush Constrictors. You've tuned in. Hopefully you like what you saw. You got to know a little bit about me and what it is that I produce and what I'm into here at Kush Constrictors. And hopefully you can watch my channel and my animals evolve from a pretty entry-level basis right now. As you can see, I'm extremely entry-level. However, I feel like I have some pretty good potential, and I'd like to see you guys grow with me. So if you like what you see here, please subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, like the video, and also leave a comment. You know what I mean? If I said something that was incorrect, that I need to be educated on, I mean, I'm not somebody who's stuck in his beliefs. You know, if there's some new enlightening information I wasn't aware of, please tell me. I'd love to know it. Also, try to keep it positive. You know, try to keep it positive, man. Be good to people out there, man. Be good to one another. Say nice things out here. I understand that it's social media, and I'm putting myself in a situation where people are able to say whatever it is they feel like they can say. But you know, try to be kind to one another is all I ask. You know, say nice things, and if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So with that said, thanks everybody for tuning in. Again, if you like this video, please subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification button, and leave a comment. Thank you again for tuning in the Kush Constrictors.